It's been a while, hasn't it? It has been a while. Now, I have been very busy this past semester with college work, my radio show, and other projects, but you know, I do want to get back into making videos, and it's been a while since I've reviewed a Disney Channel movie as well, so let's take a look at Disney's 2018 film, Zombies, spelling out the word zombies. Where have I seen someone do that before?
Welcome to Zombie World, where we crush your dreams. Sing, I love being a Zombie.
Come on, guys. You get away with ripping off Kimba? I think it's only fair that you pay me for copying me like this. What'll I be spending the money on, you may ask? Why, therapy sessions after watching this garbage. Holy shit! Disney's Zombies is... I'll be honest, this is the worst movie I've ever had to sit through for one of these reviews. And not just in the worst movie flavor of the week sense either. No, this is legitimately awful. The idea of a supernatural teen romance film probably made more sense in 2012, when it was originally pitched as a TV pilot called Zombies and Cheerleaders to cash in on the success of the Twilight franchise and the rising hype of zombie flicks. It made a lot less sense in 2018, when the movie was released years after anyone cared about Twilight in the midst of the death of the zombie craze. I guess in its own way that's appropriate for a zombie movie, but it was a Disney Channel original movie, so obviously it raked in a ton of viewers. So let's examine the case of Zombies. Zombies. I'm just gonna call it Zombies.
Welcome to Seabrook. We're a perfectly planned community. We all have perfect homes, perfect clothes, the perfect life.
Who's narrating this? One of the Stepford Wives?
Yep, everything was perfect.
Until it wasn't.
You're telling me your narrator just changed genders mid-sentence. The radiation from the explosion must have done a hell of a job.
And when the contaminated green haze blew west, people were not happy.
Because it turned them into... zombies.
That's not a zombie. That's a Joker cosplayer from Comic-Con. You're not fooling anyone. But the humans have a plan to keep the zombies out by building a... huge wall to protect themselves from the foreign intruders. I'm just going to assume this is an element carried over from the 2012 pilot, because if it wasn't... oh man, you have to be aware of the implications of that in 2018. Well, 50 years later and things have changed as we meet our main hero...
I'm Zed. And yeah, I'm a zombie.
Nope! I can't. I got a long life ahead of me. I'm not wasting it here! Well, that didn't take long. 1 minute 43 seconds. I think that might hold the record time for how fast I've bailed on a movie. I made the Comic-Con joke earlier, but seriously, is this the best that Disney can do for zombie makeup? This Jared Leto Joker looking ass? I know you have a low budget, but Christ! This is our main male character, Zed, a Russian-German music producer known for his 2018 hit song The Middle. Wait, wrong Zed. I don't know much about this Zed, but I get the feeling I'm better off for it.
We've come a long way since the outbreak. Thanks to the Z-Band. Go Seabrook! Oh yeah!
The sad thing is, he's one of the movie's less annoying characters. Zed explains that the zombies are now civilized thanks to the Z-Band, a remote control device that allows zombies to control their brain-eating habits. So things are much better. Except they have a curfew and a dress code and aren't allowed to have pets, and their towns are still segregated behind the wall. Also, the zombie outbreak happened 50 years ago. How are there zombie kids? Are Zed and his little sister just kids who got turned into zombies 50 years prior? Most zombie media suggests that zombies can't sexually reproduce, so what sense does this make? We then meet Addison, the daughter of the mayor, who's trying to join the cheerleading squad, but it turns out she has a dark secret.
Born with it. Doctors can't explain it. You can't diet. Nothing sticks.
Oh no. Addison is secretly Princess Yue, which may not seem that bad, but it does mean she's gonna turn into Lamoon.
That's rough, buddy.
But it's their first day of school, so let's get a listen to this first song.
Now what up, everybody? Let me set the scene. Fresh new start for your boy Young Z.
Ick. This is the worst rapping I've heard in one of these movies since Sunday School Musical.
It ain't so bad on this side of the tracks. We make it work with a little bit of swag.
Can we proclaim the word swag dead already? I think this movie officially killed it. It's during this song that we meet our supporting cast, including Bucky, the self-centered cheer captain and Addison's cousin, Eliza, a zombie rights activist, and Zed's goofy friend Bonzo, who...
He just dropped that in Zombie.
There's a zombie language?
It's zombie time. We have a rich language.
There's a zombie language. Okay. 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 Why the f is there a zombie language? Isn't the whole thing about zombies that they lack the mental capacity to speak any language? Even with these magical Fitbits, why would they make up a whole new language when they'd spoken English before being turned into zombies? And just what does this language sound like? Think of all the iconic fictional languages. Klingon, which took years to perfect and has a deep lore. Elvish, which has an even deeper lore in many different dialects. The caveman language from Quest for Fire, based on years of research and development by writer-linguist Anthony Burgess and anthropologist Desmond Morris. Zombie language? Just mumble gibberish, the kids will still like it. This opening song goes on for what feels like 10 minutes. Just finish already! When the song does finally end, we discover that the zombies' integration into human schools isn't all it's cracked up to be, as there are separate entrances for human and zombie students, and they're confined to separate classrooms. Okay, they went there. So, in case you haven't figured out yet, this movie is meant to be an allegory for racial prejudice. The use of the supernatural to speak on real-life issues is nothing new. In fact, one of the most famous and influential zombie movies, Night of the Living Dead, was released amidst the civil rights movement and was incredibly important for racial equality by showing a black man taking charge and being the smartest human in the movie. If I were to give zombies the slightest amount of credit, I'd point out that the zombie apocalypse took place 50 years prior to 2018, which, if you do the math, was 1968, the year when Night of the Living Dead was released. And for the record, I'm not opposed to Disney tackling prejudice in kids' media. After all, they've done that with great success in the past, between Gargoyles in the 1990s and Zootopia in 2016, just 2 years before this movie. By all means, they can make this work. So, what's the commentary here? Okay, it's a post-zombie apocalypse world, and in this universe the oppressors are the humans, while the minorities are the zombies. Now, I don't talk about this a lot, but I am 1/4 Armenian. My ancestors fled Armenia during the genocide, and some were killed during the death marches of 1915 to 16. But I recognize that in America, I have the privilege of appearing as any white male, and as such, I probably don't have the perspective to make a full analysis on such a complex issue. That said, though, I'd just like to point out that this is a licensed Disney movie that compares minorities to zombies! Are you crazy?! They literally compare minorities to zombies! Literally compare minorities to zombies! I feel I have to repeat that! This is a 2018 Disney film that literally compares racial minorities with a species best known for being brainless and inherently violent. And they thought this was a good idea? You're telling me that nobody who made this movie, nobody involved in the pitching, writing, production, or anything, took issue with this? Nobody was like, hey, does anyone else notice this is the worst idea ever? And maybe I'd give it a pass and say I was reading too deeply into it, except it's super heavy-handed. There's a no zombies sign on a restaurant door. Zombies and humans are segregated to separate classrooms. Bonzo is obviously meant to be a reference to English as a second language students. And Eliza is presented like a zombie version of Angela Davis. I'll get back to Eliza later, trust me. But this doesn't faze Zed, who sneaks out of class for football tryouts.
Yeah, I know, it's a high-risk move. I got smarts and stealth on my side.
Rogue zombie!
Wait, what?
Yeah, maybe you wouldn't have been caught if you'd focused on sneaking instead of talking to the audience. Well, everyone panics, and Zed hides in a zombie safe room that, conveniently, only he and Addison know exists. With the lights out, they can't see each other, so she doesn't know he's a zombie, and they have a really cloying meet-cute. Until...
All clear.
Saw that coming.
Zed, I'm so sorry. My parents have always taught me that zombies are disgusting, dead-eyed freaks, but you're not hideous at all.
Hey, that's the nicest thing any girl ever said about me in high school. Ayo! While Zed tries out for the football team but is rejected even though they haven't won a game in years, Addison fares much better at her cheerleader tryouts. However, it turns out the initiation for the tryouts involves committing a hate crime.
Every year, for cheer initiation, we like to remind zombies that we don't accept freaks in this town. Egg that zombie house, and you're both officially one of us.
And when Addison questions Bucky on this, he implies that he'll reveal her dark secret if she presses the issue further. You know, the dark secret that Addison is secretly stormed from X-Men. To drive his point home, he brings out sparklers during the big pep rally, which, given the zombies' fear of fire, sends Bonzo into a craze. Wait, weren't the zombies not allowed out of the basement? When did this change? Bonzo knocks Zed over, which causes his Z-Band to go haywire for a moment, but thankfully gives him the strength to push his way through the crowd and catch Addison. This is enough to convince the coach to let Zed join the football team.
Coach wants you on his team.
Really? Yeah. Who's the zombie? I'm the zombie, and this zombie's playing some ball.
Okay, how long are you going to keep up this whole Ferris Bueller talking to the camera thing? It wasn't that clever to begin with, and at this point in the movie it's just tedious.
I can only agree if there are some changes. Full integration for all zombies.
In good faith, I will allow zombies to eat in the cafeteria. And once you start racking in those wins, then we'll talk about those other demands, all right?
Damn, that's all it takes to end racism? I wish we'd known that. We could have saved several centuries of conflict. So the zombies get to eat lunch with the humans, and Addison fawns over Zed for a bit.
And I just love the thought of flying through the air. Oh my god, oxygen is so overrated, and so is dirt. Addie? Are you okay, Addie?
My heart's racing and my palms are sweaty.
Are your knees weak and arms heavy? Is there vomit on your sweater already? Mama spaghetti? He's nervous, but on the surface he looks calm and ready to drop bombs. But he keeps on forgetting what he wrote down. The whole crowd goes so loud, he opens his mouth, but the words don't come out. This does not sit well with the other cheerleaders, who warn Addison that she could be kicked out of Cheer Squad if she's caught talking to the zombies, because if you want to be cool, follow one simple rule: don't mess with the flow. Oh no, stick to the status quo. Does all of this seem familiar to you?
This town, this school, it's hard not fitting in.
Well, how would you know?
It's a wig. My real hair is freakish, and I can't change it.
You think your life is hard? I'm a high school junior wearing size 13 Nikes. Men's size 13 Nikes.
Zed and Addison have a bland, poppy duet, complete with more attempts to be hip with the kids.
We're gonna be someday. We're gonna be someday.
If you've heard any of Troy and Gabriella's duets from High School Musical, you basically have an idea of what this sounds like. Next. Well, Zed's first football game doesn't go very well, mainly because he can't tap into his zombie strength at will. I would suggest maybe training harder, or just not signing up for the football team, but hey, he's the male lead in a Disney Channel movie. He has to be a football star or a basketball star. Those are the rules. But Eliza finds a way of hacking into his Z-Band to access his zombie strength, and the game starts going better. Once again, this does not sit well with Bucky, who threatens to kick Addison from the cheer squad if she doesn't stop hanging out with Zed, who is okay with this for some reason. This is one of the biggest problems I have with this movie. It alludes to all these racial issues, but it never goes deep with any of them beyond the surface level. Addison and Zed never have to confront all the complicated issues with being an interracial couple in an era with this much intolerance. Addison never has to talk about her privilege, nor is it ever mentioned how messed up it is that she's willing to end their relationship for the sake of the cheerleader squad. And things like the zombies' segregation in the town are always treated as a joke. The setup is there, but it never delves deeper into these issues. And I know what you're going to say. It's a kid's movie, you can't expect them to treat it seriously. Well, need I remind you that Zootopia came out 2 years earlier. That movie treated the serious issue of discrimination with the gravitas it deserved, while respecting its young audience enough to avoid hammering them over the head with a message. There's this one really effective scene on the subway that is done with no words, but still says so much without dumbing down the message or playing it off as a joke. But Zombies never goes all the way with it. The typical Disney Channel lightness is in direct conflict with the seriousness of the movie's overall message. I'm not saying this movie has to go into the serious ramifications of racism, but if it's not going to go in deep, it shouldn't bring up the subject in the first place. But don't worry about that, it's time for a zombie rave.
Welcome to Zombieland. It's a party. Go ahead, everybody dance to the draggy leg. You surely can.
You know, this rapping is so bad, I'd legitimately rather listen to Dee Dee Ramone's rapping than this. In fact, can we play that instead?
This is Dee Dee King on the mic. 150 pounds of dynamite. The guy with the rhyme about the pyramid.
Yeah, that fits, doesn't it? It turns out that Addison is getting along nicely with the zombies, including Zed's younger sister, Zoe. Even Eliza seems to be warming up to her. Oh my gosh. I just realized that Eliza, Zed, Bonzo, all of them have Z's in their name. I don't know how I didn't catch that earlier. But Addison gets caught out past curfew, and her parents are not impressed.
This town is full of monstrous zombies. What were you up to?
I was out with a boy.
You will not cheer, and there will be no cheer championship until we meet this boy.
The only problem is, of course, they don't know that Zed is a zombie. As Zed gets ready for Guess Who's Coming to Dinner of the Living Dead, things get even worse when Bucky's henchmen find out that Zed has been cheating by using the Z-Band to win the games.
Cheer, spirits. Glory to all that is firecracker, firecracker, shish boom ba. Send me a sign.
Well, that was a thing that just happened. So the henchmen steal Eliza's computer to hack the system while Zed swipes right on his Z-Band, which somehow turns him human? Okay, I can suspend my disbelief for a bit. I can buy that they have this technology to subdue the zombies' craving for brains. I can even buy that, when manipulated enough, it has the power to make them appear human. My question is, why hasn't anyone done this before? Considering how poorly the zombies have been treated up to this point, even though they no longer want to kill people, there is no way in hell that Zed is the first zombie to try disguising himself as a human. They specifically highlighted that zombies can pass themselves off as humans, so it's not a stretch to believe that others would take advantage of this. But once again, it's never explained or expanded upon beyond this one scene. And by the way, just so we're clear, how exactly does a Z-Band tie in with the film being a racism allegory? The zombies are only ever civilized and safe to be around when they're under control, but the zombies are meant to represent racial minorities, so what exactly is this saying? That minorities in the US are naturally dangerous without the interference of white people? And the only way to keep them safe to be around is by removing their very identity? That's something 1800 slave owners might have argued for why they couldn't free their slaves. Incidentally, the Z-Band was actually based on an unused plot device from Zootopia, where predators had to wear shock collars to keep them from wanting to eat prey. The fact that Zootopia abandoned that concept early in development should have been the first sign that maybe they shouldn't use it here either. I'm sorry I keep bringing this up, but if the movie wanted to tell a story about racism, maybe it should have thought through its allegory a bit more. I still don't know why they went with zombies of all creatures. Legitimately, any fictional monsters would have been better for this story than friggin' zombies. This film was seriously hard to watch. And for perspective, I started writing this review in 2019. I just want it to be over already.
Stage 1 is done.
It comes down to the big game, and the cheerleaders hack Zed's Z-Band so he can't use his zombie strength to win the game. But that doesn't stop him, as he wins the final touchdown anyway. But then they shut down the power to all the Z-Bands, which causes them to go full zombie. You know, all I'm thinking about during this scene is how Eliza never noticed her computer went missing. I'm just saying, she's specifically very tech-focused. She joined the computer club and mentioned that she was a gamer, so you'd think she'd notice something like that. Zed and his friends get tasered and rounded up, and all the humans hate them again at the drop of a hat.
We told you, Addie, zombies are not safe!
Yeah, that's right, Bonzo. You're going to Bitburg! Got that reference out of the way. But Addison is here to save the day.
You did this to him. All of you. You made him feel like he had to risk his life to belong. Because you couldn't deal with someone different. But you had no problem using him to win your stupid games.
However, this moment is immediately undercut by her song, Stand, where it becomes evident that the emotional core of this movie was not humans overcoming their prejudice towards zombies, it was Addison coming to terms with having white hair.
I'm gonna stand strong. Nothing's stopping me. I'll be loud.
Once again, having slightly lighter hair than normal is not on par with the systemic oppression of an entire race. Yet this movie acts like it is throughout the entire runtime. And the big reveal where Addison pulls off her wig in front of the whole crowd seems like it's supposed to be a powerful scene.
I'm gonna stand.
But I feel nothing when watching it, because what's so bad about having white hair? My friend MovieFan12 pointed this out in his own review, but you know what would have made a much stronger reveal? If it turned out she was a zombie the whole time. Yeah, think about it. Her mom is the mayor, and you know how politicians will sometimes adopt children to boost their public image? Imagine if her parents had adopted her, but didn't want anyone to know she was a zombie, so they altered her Z-Band to make her look human like Zed did earlier. And she goes the whole time pretending to be human, but at the end reveals that she, too, is a zombie. It would have had way more emotional weight. Instead, it feels dramatic and overblown without being earned. Meanwhile, Eliza has finally had enough.
You know, it was stupid of us to think humans were gonna change. We tried doing it the nice way, and now it's time to do it my way.
Yeah.
We'll have a zombie uprising. Force them to make us equal, or we tear it all down.
Yeah.
We are cheerleaders. We are flawless.
Yeah! What? So, after his obvious hate crime against the zombies, Bucky starts purging every member of the cheerleading squad who shows any zombie sympathy, which leaves only half the team left for cheer championship. The zombies are resegregated and have to clean out their lockers, but Bonzo finds Eliza's plan to sabotage the championship. We're never told what this sabotage plan entails, but I'm guessing it involves dumping a bucket of pig's blood on Bucky's head. I could have fun mocking this movie all day, but here's where I stop.
Sabotage isn't the zombie way. It's not who we are. It's not who you are. You're not gonna change the world through sabotage. You change the world through cheer.
No sabotage, Eliza. That's not who I am. That's not who we are.
Movie, you. I could have forgiven the clear lack of thought in your racial allegory, but when you pull the whole "if you fight against injustice, you're just as bad as they are" card, that's where I draw the line. I don't know what Eliza's sabotage plan involved, but I can guarantee that whatever she was planning was nowhere near as bad as what Bucky did. It wouldn't have endangered people's lives for one. So, what's the takeaway from this message? That minority groups always have to be the bigger person? That it's only okay to stand up to injustice as long as you don't do anything to disrupt the system or make people feel uncomfortable, and just wait around for privileged people to feel sorry for you, which may never happen? Also, the fact that Addison is the one saying this to Eliza makes it even worse. Addison is not a zombie. She may be dating a zombie, but that does not give her the right to speak for the zombies. And just to add insult to injury, Eliza's actress, Kylie Russell, is black. Which means you have a white girl telling a black girl not to fight against racial injustice. Yeah, this is where I tuned out. I mean, we all know how the movie ends, right? They do a song and dance, Bucky turns good, and racism is no more. I think Chief Bogo puts it best.
Life isn't some cartoon musical where you sing a little song and your insipid dreams magically come true.
This movie was awful. The worst movie Disney has ever released. God is dead and this movie killed him. The writing is sloppy, the characters are one-dimensional cutouts, the music is bland and forgettable, and the budget looks practically non-existent. But all of that could have been forgiven. I mean, say what you want about High School Musical. Oh my god, I'm about to praise High School Musical. The first High School Musical movie had many of these same problems, but at the same time, it wasn't trying to win an Oscar or anything. It was just a dumb, fun kids movie, and it succeeded at being that. And if that's all that Zombies was, I could have given it a pass. But this movie wasn't trying to be a dumb, fun kids movie. It was trying to make a statement about serious issues. Issues like racism at that. A topic that is still so controversial and sensitive nowadays that to talk about it, you need to be as delicate and attentive as a doctor performing surgery with a scalpel. But this movie has all the care and delicacy of Jason Voorhees. Zombies is stupid and pretentious. Its utter failure to deliver any positive and meaningful message about prejudice pushes it from typical Disney Channel bad into being the worst movie I've ever watched for one of my reviews. And in a fair and just world, it would have been left on the cutting room floor and never been made. But they made it! And it got a sequel. Oh boy, my favorite!
How could you make a film as bad as this when you know damn well that this is wrong, but they'll still lay down their cash for you? And do you think you deserve a sequel? No, I don't think you do. There's no justice in the world. There's no justice in the world, and there never was.
Yeah, I got a beard now, deal with it. Hey guys, I'm back! And hopefully for real this time. Hope you enjoyed my video. Be sure to leave a like if you liked it, comment if you have something to say, and if you really liked it and want to see even more content from me, feel free to hit the subscribe button and support me on Patreon at patreon.com/TheHappySpaceman. So check all that fun stuff out, and I'll catch you next time. Have a good one!
Firecracker, firecracker, shish boom ba.